Josh Steimle, greetings from Shenzhen, China. It's the new year here in China, so Xinyan Kuai La, if I'm not murdering that. And this is my third take on this video, and I don't care what mistakes I make. I'm just going to go with it. I'll correct it on the fly. I'm not going to edit it. I just don't roll that way. I don't have the time. So here are 3 answers to 3 questions asked by an entrepreneur, which I received today. And he says, first of all, he's got a truly one-of-a-kind company. He says, we offer free designs, endless customization, highest degree of service, most competitive price, all that. But then he admits, hey, I know this sounds pretty generic. And he says, people aren't prepared to read long explanations. So how do I get through to people when I need to get through to them fast and my pitch sounds like everybody else's pitch? Well, yeah, it does sound similar to other pitches. And how is your service really different? How do you explain in one sentence that your service is different? Because people might not read past that first sentence. So if you're giving people a pitch and you can't explain in one sentence how you're different from the competition, maybe you aren't really different than the competition. Maybe you don't really have an unfair advantage. Maybe you don't really have a unique selling proposition. So maybe you need to improve your product. Maybe you need to improve your service. But his next question, I think, is more helpful, or at least leads us to a more helpful way to do the right kind of pitch that will get a response. So he says, what's the best way to contact a huge company like Google? He says that he created some design portfolios for several large companies, but he's not sure what the most professional way is to reach out. So first of all, you don't sell the companies, you sell the individuals. People do business with people they like and trust. Companies aren't people, they could care less. So if you can find one person who can make the decision about buying your product or service, then you can sell to the company that he or she works for. And you've got to figure out what the problems and challenges are that that person has. So if Sally has XYZ problem and you have the solution to XYZ problem, then you can pitch her on that. Now that might sound pretty generic. I get a lot of emails that say, you've got this problem. We have the solution to that problem. The thing is, 90% of the time, it's not true. The problem they think that I have is not really a problem that I do have. What they've done is they've sent an email out to 10,000 people or 100,000 people or 1,000,000 people, all with the same pitch in the hopes that maybe 1% of those people actually do have that problem they're talking about in the email. And so they'll get that email and say, wow, it's like this person's reading my mind. Well, no, they just sent it out to 1,000,000 people and you happen to be in the 1% of the people that that email matches up with. Now, if you don't want to spam people, if you want to be a little bit more targeted about it, you need to break through to people, because even if I get an email that says, hey, you've got XYZ problem, and I think, hey, I do have XYZ problem, I can still tell that that email was sent out to a bunch of people. I can tell that just because you put my name on the front of the email, that doesn't mean that you customized that email just for me, that you typed in my name. Admit it. You went through, you bought a spreadsheet somewhere, you bought a database, has a bunch of names, a bunch of emails, and you just sent out a bunch of emails to that list. So you need to prove to me and to your other customers in the very first sentence that the email you're sending is customized just for me. First of all, this makes me feel guilty if I don't respond, because it's like, oh man, this guy sent me this email. He's going to know if I don't respond because I can tell that he customized this email just for me. Now, how can I tell that you customized an email just for me? You have to say something in that first sentence that shows me. So with me, you might say, hey Josh, I was reading some of your Forbes articles and ... That sentence right there shows me that you know who I am and that you sent this email just to me. You can't send that email to 2 people because 2 people wouldn't necessarily write for Forbes. Now maybe you could send it to 40 or 50 people that you researched at Forbes and you just switched out the names, but still you went to some effort here. You went to some work, and you're probably going to notice if I don't respond to that email. So if you can customize an email that way, or a phone call, or a LinkedIn request, put some information in there that shows that you know who you're talking to, that you're a human being and not just a spammer using a bot to go through some list or something, you're much more likely to get a response from that kind of message, from that kind of pitch. So Final question he says, I'm really busy. I don't feel like I give enough time to my employees, and I'm buying breakfasts, or I'm buying bagels for breakfast. Are there any suggestions you have for keeping morale high in the office while still focusing on many tasks and meetings I have throughout the day? I made sure to get an office that's completely open, and our partners in management don't sit in the back office. So first of all, open offices, there's negative and positive stuff about this out there. So don't assume just because you have an open office that that's great, because there are a lot of negative things about open offices, and you can Google this, look it up, and see if those might apply to your situation. Maybe the open office is great for you, maybe it's not great for you, but you don't want to just assume that it's great for you. But anyway, that's not going to make or break this guy's company or anybody else's. So getting onto the meat here, what do employees, team members really want? They want to be challenged. They want to feel like they make a difference. They want respect. Now, you'd say, well, they also want to get paid. Well, yeah, of course they want to get paid, but research shows that beyond a certain level, it's around 70,000 US a year, at least in the US, beyond a certain basic level, once all your needs are covered, people don't care that much about what they get paid. Whether they get paid 70, 80, or 150, 200, yeah, they're going to care, but it's not the make or break decision for whether they stay at a job, leave that job, or how happy or satisfied they are at that job. Then their attention turns to other things like, am I being challenged? Am I learning? Am I progressing? Am I getting to participate in exciting things that stretch me as a person? Am I respected by the people that I work with and by management? Do I feel like I'm making a difference to this business? Like what I do actually matters? So those are ways that you can connect with people. It doesn't take a lot of time. You can make these connections. You don't have to do this every day. You don't have to do this every week. You do this every once in a while or whenever it's natural. When somebody really does make a difference, you call it out and you say, wow, that really helped. Like you're really helping this business out. You saved this client. You saved that account. Or you brought in that money, that deal right when we needed it. You help people to know that, hey, what you're doing really makes a difference here and we really appreciate it. And with small businesses, this is usually easier because everybody really makes a difference in a small business. As you get larger, that's harder because you might be part of a team. It might be harder to see the difference that individuals make. You need to push it down to the managers so that the managers can say to these people, hey, I notice what you're doing. I see the difference that it makes. The recognition doesn't have to come all the way from the top. It probably matters more when it comes from the people that the employees work with, the people who actually know what they're doing. If I come in as a high-level manager or the CEO of the company, of a big company, and I say to somebody, oh, well, you're making a huge difference here, they're going to say, what do you know? How do you know? You've got 600 people here. How do you know whether I'm making a huge difference or not? But if the manager that they work with, who only manages 10 people, says it and can explain exactly why they make a difference to that manager, that makes more of a difference than if the CEO comes and says, hey, you're making a difference to the whole business. Unless that employee really is making a difference for the entire business and it's a really big deal. And then the CEO calls it out. That's awesome, of course. So 2 books that are great on this. Carrots and Sticks Don't Work. Great book on what really motivates employees. And 2, The 5 Languages of Appreciation in the Workplace, which, yes, is based on the same principles as the 5 Love Languages. This book has been adapted by the author for the office environment. And yes, he also took out the touch part because that's not appropriate in the office place, but it's a wonderful book. 2 great books on how to keep your team happy and how to make sure that you're communicating effectively with them and giving them the recognition and the things that they need to be happy in their jobs. So hopefully that helps our young entrepreneur friend out, and maybe there's something there for you too.